Hey y'all, so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all how I created my trellis method for my tomato plants. I have a total of 6 tomatoes. This is my first time ever growing tomatoes. And so far, I really like the setup that I have for them. And I don't think I'm going to be using any other trellising method because this one so far has been working very well for me. I love it. It's very easy to set up. And as you guys can see, some of my tomatoes are starting to fruit. I don't know how well it's going to hold up once the fruits get bigger and things are getting heavier. I don't know how well it's going to hold up, but again, so far I am loving it. But this has been a highly requested video, not only to show you all how I trellis my tomatoes, but also the setup. I'm going to do a video on the setup in a separate video. So on today's video, we're only going to be talking about the trellising method. So the type of trellis that I am using for my tomatoes, it's called the Florida weaving method. And the materials that you're going to need is going to be, so you're going to need 2 stakes, okay, one on each end. You're going to need some shears or scissors, and then some twine. Now, for the twine, I prefer that you use compostable twine. So if you can find them, use those instead. That way, once you're done using them up, it goes back to the garden. Nothing goes to waste. This is not compostable. It's my first time. I didn't know about it. So I just recently learned that they make them compostable. So I'm going to use this one up, and next time around I will use the one that you can compost. So these are the materials that you're going to need. So the first step is you're going to need to plant your tomatoes in a straight row, like I have them right here. Now my tomatoes are not planted in the ground. They're all in their own separate grow bags. These grow bags are 15 gallons each. And yeah, so you want your tomatoes to be planted in a straight row like this. You're going to space them apart between 18 to 21 inches. I think, the spacing, yeah, it's about 18 to 21 inches because, again, the grow bags are fairly large. Yeah, so you want to space them appropriately, okay? And then, like I said, you are going to need 2 stakes, one on each end of the row. So I have one stake here, and then I have the other stake over here. You can either use metal stakes or you can use wood. I use a metal stake. I think, they're pretty sturdy, and I got those from Home Depot. So for the stakes, you want to make sure that they go about a foot deep into the soil, okay, so that they don't wobble, right? So with like a hammer thingy, or I don't know what that other tool is called, you kind of drive it deep down into the soil about a foot deep. Okay. All right. So the next thing you want to do is you want to start weaving the twine. Okay. Now pretend we are at ground level. Okay. And we have our little tomato plant that we just planted in the ground. And then this is our stake. So I tie the twine on the stake. Okay, tie it around multiple times, just to make sure that it's secure. And then I just knot it up. I know there's fancy knots that you can do. I'm not that skilled yet. I'm not there yet, y'all. So I just make sure that it's tied tightly around the stake, okay? And you want to make sure that it's tied to the stake about 8 inches above the ground. So again, we're pretending that this is ground level. Like right here is about ground level. So you want to make sure that you tie it to the first stake about 8 inches off of the ground, okay? So what you're going to do now is you're going to pull the twine tightly in front of the first plant, okay? And then behind the second plant. Okay. And then in front of the first plant. So basically weaving the twine and then behind the other plant. And then you'll do that for all of the plants, y'all. In front and then behind the other plant, and then in front of the next plant and behind the other plant, so on and so forth. You're basically just weaving it in between the plants. And you want to keep the twine tight, but not cutting the stems. Once you get to the other stake, what I do is I just roll it around, like make sure this end of the twine, make sure it's a little tight, right? So we can keep things upright, like keep the tomatoes upright. So kind of tug it, make sure that it's tight and secure. So you want to roll it around a couple of times around the stake, right? Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to do this with one hand. And then you want to repeat this method on the other side. So we're going to go in front of this tomato, then in back of the next tomato plant, right? Then in front of this tomato plant, basically, again, we're weaving between the tomatoes. But yeah, that is basically what you do. You want to weave it in between the tomato plants, right? On one side, roll it around the stake and then weave it on the other side, okay? So you'll start 8 inches off of the ground and then add new layers as the tomato grows. So you're gonna add, like every time your tomato plant grows another 6 to 8 inches tall, you're gonna add a new level of twine using the same weaving method. That's basically what I have been doing, and that's been working very well for my tomato plants. And I took it a step further by tying like in the middle of the the weave. I tie in the middle of it. Like I just take a little twine and then just kind of tie it like this. And this is to kind of help keep the tomato plant straight, right? For example, this one right here, this is, I believe this is a beefsteak. Let me see. Yeah, no, this is a large cherry tomato. And this is one of the biggest tomato plants that I have. And it was leaning to the left a little. So what I did was I went ahead and rather than taking a stake and adding a stake behind it to help support it, so I kind of propped it upright and then just tied the twine to give it that support so that if it leans, it's not going to lean any further. That knot that I made over here is helping to give it support. I hope I'm making sense. So that's what I have been doing with the tomatoes. Like, for example, this one right here, it was kind of leaning to the right. So what I did was I tied it over here so that if it does lean, that tie that I did is going to support it and help to keep it straight. So that's the other, like the addition that I added to my trellis. Like I said, y'all, it's been working so well for me. And you want to also ensure that you're pruning your tomato leaves so that way it's not focusing a lot of its energy in producing like the green leaves. You want to help it focus on producing fruits instead of leaves. So ensure that you guys are pruning the bottom leaves as well. So I try to explain this to you all the best way that I can. You see over here, I added 2 knots, just to give it again that support. That way I don't have to add a stake. Yeah, I don't have to add a wooden stake to support it. It's just being supported by the knots, right? I hope this helps someone. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out my previous video, and I will see you all in the next one.